Greetings Boffins and welcome to the Boffin Lab. I'm Old Man Triton and this is a Nano guide on how to hire a Greycat ROC and a Cutlass Black and go mining gems or crystals in Star Citizen. So let's say you've earned about 100 to 150,000 credits and you want to earn more. There's one area that you could explore as an option, and that is renting vehicles and using them to mine. There are two options in this case, renting a prospector or renting a Greycat ROC. This is covering the Greycat ROC and the Cutlass Black, which you need to carry it around. We'll look into the costs effectiveness and the rewards of this operation. The Greycat ROC can be hired from any refinery station. You go into the refinery shop, go past that to the rental areas. You'll find that the Greycat ROC is worth less than 3,000 credits a day, but you can get a better deal if you hire it for several days. You can also get the Cutlass Black here, but it's 52,920 credits and you can get it cheaper at another place. If you dock at one of the stations hanging over a planet such as Everest Harbour, you can go to the cargo centre, go to cargo services and head over to the rentals from there. You will find that their rentals are cheaper at this location and have a slightly different array of options. Check out the terminal and you'll notice that they have a freelancer and a Cutlass Black, and the Cutlass Black is at least 10,000 credits cheaper per day. There's no advantage in taking the freelancer, but the Cutlass Black will do the job for you for the moment and get you where you need to go. Hire it and continue on your way. When you get to the ASOP terminal, you'll notice that the Cutlass Black is got a timer on it and needs to be delivered to the station. Delivery is instantaneous, but it does work with the standard insurance system once it's delivered. Then retrieve it so that you can fly to where you're going to pick up your ROC, because you cannot get your ROC in space. We're going to take a quick moment here to discuss equipment. You should have a suit of armor suitable to the planet you're going to, and food and drink all available. A multi-tool with tractor beam and gem attachments or a maxi lift will be very useful. I'm wearing a Pembroke suit and helmet because I'm going to Aberdeen and it's hot, but you may not be able to afford that straight away. This brings us to a discussion about where to mine, and this chart comes from us from redmonstergaming.com. Link in the description below. You can see that if you try to mine on Aberdeen or Ariel, you will need a heat suit such as the Pembroke suit. But if you cannot afford the Pembroke suit, then Daymar is your third best option for Hadonite, which is the most valuable crystal to mine. At this stage, I would avoid mining Aphorite. It's more valuable than Dolivine, but currently has a bug which makes it impossible to sell in bulk. Get to know the moon that you're mining. I know, for example, that Dobbs is not actually a mining facility and doesn't have the necessary facilities we need. Norgard and Anderson on Aberdeen both have vehicle bays and refueling points, and you should choose one of those to go and collect your ROC. Warp in and get close to the surface. But be wary, there may be hostiles. As you approach the facility that you're going to pick up your ROC from, you're looking for two small pads next to a small building. This will be the vehicle retrievement pads, and you will need to get your ROC from this location. As you can see, a lot of other people have parked in the area too, so try to be courteous. I'm picking a spot to park and noticing that the server's having a little bit of trouble with the rendering the graphics. My system should be good enough to cause no problems of that sort, and it's only during this video that I've seen it. Use F4 to get a good landing position, land nearby, Shut off your thrusters, but leave the shields up. When you land at the mining base, you're looking for the vehicle services building. They will have two of these pads next to it. Enter the building, cycle the airlock, and you will find two terminals dedicated to vehicles available for you. Now, I have already got a Greycat ROC and I have to claim it, but you will be able to deliver it immediately because you've just hired it. Once your ROC is available, go ahead and deliver it. Look out the window to check to see whether it's been delivered to the pad, and it takes a few seconds, and then go out and move it into your Cutlass Black. Now, some people think that you could possibly just spawn a ROC and set out from this location and find gems and crystals that way, but they are so far spread apart that you would never find them in the vehicle. The Cutlass is needed in order for you to travel that far. Just like a ship, you have to power on the ROC with U and then power on the movement drive with I, but we're experiencing a little lag. We just need to close the front gate and then we can move on. Park the vehicle in the back of your ship. Now notice that the mining arm just flicked out of view. If you look to the right, you'll see that it's poking up in the air. That tends to actually make it difficult to park inside a Cutlass Black. Some other vehicles are bigger and can take it, but if you hit the M button, you can activate it into mining mode, and that tucks it neatly on the side, making it easier to move into the back of the Cutlass. Park it up. You can leave the power on and get out. Now all you have to do is shut the doors and head on your way looking for gems. So one of the downsides of the Cutlass Black, even though it's a cheap ship to rent, is that its scanner array is pretty poor. You won't find most crystals at more than 2.5 kilometers, and one crystal array has just popped up on my screen. I'm using V mode to scan. See my tutorial on scanning to know exactly how this works, but using the mouse wheel I've rolled in the pierce, pulsed multiple times, and found a cluster of teardrops all in one spot. Slowly getting closer to the location, I hold down the left mouse button while the signal is strong and start scanning for the exact position of the cluster. The teardrops hover above the location, whereas the exact position is somewhere below it. Now I want to know what type of crystals they are. They could be hadenite, aphrite, or dolivine. I'm looking for hadenite. So getting in close, and you need to be a good pilot for this. I think you need a signal strength of 90 or above to be able to scan these, but once I get close enough, I can hold down the left mouse button. The outline of the rock goes yellow and the scan progress starts. And when it's finished, in the top right corner it tells me that that is a hadenite rock. All the rocks in a group will be the same. So I'm just looking around for a landing place now, and I suggest you always land a little distance away to protect your ship. It's possible for the explosion of a crystal rock to actually destroy your ship as well as your mining vehicle. So protect the ship, as that's where you're going to keep your gems. Land on a flat place so that your loading ramp is easily accessed by your vehicle. Shut off the thrusters, but leave the shields on. Added protection against explosions. Now, We always check for our helmet before we go outside on any moon or planet, because you don't usually get a warning that you don't have your helmet, so we make sure. I'm also checking out to see the clearance at the back of the ramp. I believe the rock will be able to get in and out of there without a problem, so I jump in the driver's seat and I drive out the back. Notice the mining arm is folded down. If you find that it is glitching into the ceiling, hit M to bring it into its mining mode, and you will be able to get it out of the way. It is a little known fact that it is in fact possible for the mining arm to flip your vehicle back on its feet if it has a problem. As we approach the gems, we get an idea of what we're looking at. It's a good idea to park a little way from them so that you can scan them. Press M to activate the mining arm and scan a rock. Now, Hadonite is a tough rock to mine. The first thing to do is to scan one and find out what size they are. Have a look at the mass. Typically from 0.8 to 1.0 is the large size crystal rocks for gems. They require a fair bit of juice in order to break, but you can find rocks that are down around the 0.1 0.09 level, and they will be much easier to break but also much easier to explode. Now I've turned on my fracture mode and I am using Alt and my middle mouse button to ramp up the power. The charge in the rock is climbing towards the green zone. As you get close to the green zone, you wind back on the power to try and get an idea of the balance point, and you slowly creep into the green zone, and then you stabilize the power so that it stays hovering in the green zone. You don't want it to go into the red zone, and you don't want it to fall back out of the green zone down the bottom end, but you want that green bar to fill all the way from right to left. When it does, the laser turns off automatically, and a few seconds later, depending on server lag, the rock explodes into gems. And that's the basics of breaking or fracturing a crystal rock. The next mode is to use right click to swap into extraction mode, and this is basically a tractor beam / vacuum, but there are some tricks with it. It's area effect, so you don't have to point at the gems exactly, but it does seem to be dependent on time. It needs time for the gems to travel the full length of the tractor beam before it is considered collected. And so, point it at one spot, leave it there for a few seconds, then move on. Sometimes you'll find gems closer to you or that have simply dropped from the tractor beam. One thing that is very important is to watch the optimal range on the upper left of your compass dial. Don't be too close to the rocks. If you're close to the rocks, the amount of power you're applying to the rocks is increased, and it becomes harder to control the heating of the rock. Always back up a bit. The other factor is that the rock can explode, and the first thing that it will damage is the mining arm, and you cannot repair that easily in the field. Try and protect your rock mining vehicle so that you can in fact keep mining at all. Otherwise you'll have to abandon it out here and claim it. How many rocks you get from a mining node is apparently dependent on the concentration of Hadonite in the node, but on average I seem to be getting 30 from each of these larger crystals. There are two schools of thoughts on collection versus mining. Some say that you should mine all the rocks and then collect at the end. That's the safest for avoiding losing materials, because if you blow up your vehicle you could lose access to the cargo. But others suggest that the server lag caused by so many gems on the ground could cause you problems and cause the aforementioned loss of the rock. So I've started vacuuming up the rocks after a couple of fractures and then slowly progressing through. Notice that as I vacuum up the rocks, I leave the laser in one place for a period of time and wait for the gems to travel the full distance of the beam before I move the laser again. It collects from a fairly wide radius, but sometimes the gems get stuck on a lip of a stone or a node or something like that, and you will have to change locations. So if you've been watching, you'll notice that occasionally gems seem to bounce off the vehicle or the mining arm and end up somewhere else. And this is why my vehicle is currently faced backwards towards my ship. This gives me an idea what direction these gems are being flung in, and when I head back to the ship to park the vehicle, I'll be able to see any gems that have gone over my head and catapulted away. If you're moving your laser very quickly, you will find that you can catapult gems as far as 100 meters away from where you were mining. So I use this trick with the ship to give me an idea where to look. I make a mistake here and I overload this rock. Only barely, but just enough to make me worried. My immediate reaction to overloading a rock is to wind back the power or turn off the laser. And when the rock fractures, back up. And I even swung the laser out of the way to avoid it getting damaged. The laser is the most likely thing to be damaged. Try to avoid it losing it. Pack the rock away when you're done. You'll be surprised how easily it can maneuver into the back of the Cutlass Black. I find it harder to park one in the back of a Freelancer Max than in a Cutlass. One thing that you'll notice is that the mining arm quickly snapped to an upright position when I turned off the vehicle. See it pointing up into the ceiling, and it does glitch into the top of the Cutlass Black. When you finish mining a set of crystals, take the cargo out of the rock and put it into your ship. This means that if you lose the rock, you lose one set of cargo. If you lose the ship, you'll lose it all. You will find that the Cutlass Black uses up fuel very quickly, so these landing pads at the mining stations give you a place to refuel on a regular basis. I only went out for one set of crystals and used about 25% of my fuel. Use these as refueling bases on a regular basis to try and get back. Always leave yourself 25% of fuel to get home and refuel. When you go to sell, make sure you close your ship. Notice I locked it behind me. While it's got cargo in it, the last thing you want is somebody stealing your ship. Then go looking for the facility marked storage and go to the terminal inside. You can also sell at a planetary administration center or at an administration center at a station, but usually you need to find one of these commodity terminals, interact with it, and then select your vehicle. It will show the Hadanite on board, select all of it, and then choose to sell. Hadanite is worth 275 credits per unit, and that gets us a total for one gem field of 82,220. That's enough to cover the rental and make a tidy profit. That's it for us today. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. consider signing on to my Patreon and subscribing there. Good hunting and have fun in space.